going on, folks? We are, mute Isaiah there, get a little feedback. We're back on 15 at 5, original version. We had an extended version with Oscar last week. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it. He's an entrepreneur out of Nashville. He has a media business where he promotes people's companies, and he creates logos and stuff, does a lot of diversity initiatives, but super cool guy. I'd recommend watching that. It was 30 minutes long, a little bit longer than our normal 15-minute. I'm going to start doing that once a month. So first Monday of the month, I'm going to bring someone in to talk. Next week or next month, it's going to be Kyle Curtin. He's going to come in and talk about medium-term rentals. It'll be the extended edition, so it'll be 30 minutes long. But we're going to start including some special guests, but it'll be good. But for the other versions, it'll either just be me or it'll be Isaiah and I. But today we're just going to talk about our journey. So how we got started in school, how Isaiah got started. Isaiah is really the catalyst for all of this. So be interested to hear from his point of view. But yeah, so Isaiah, how did you get started way back in the day? I know you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, but how did you even get introduced to, I think Axel was your first connection, then you met Shane in a meetup, started doing some work. So just run us through that whole story.
Yeah, so I guess before meeting Axel, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I tried to buy a property myself between like 16 and 18. And my kind of idea was create a company first, and then the company doesn't have an age associated with it. So my idea was to apply or be pre-approved and try to buy a property with the company name because there's no age associated with it. So that was kind of my game plan. Didn't work out. Learned a lot during that process. Yeah, didn't work out. And then I realized freshman year of college that I should probably get a mentor and kind of learn the process. So that's where I met Axel. I was part of the entrepreneurship center there at UNH, and he, I just reached out, basically connections kind of thing. And then one guy was like, yeah, like this guy Axel is doing exactly what you're trying to do. And I'm like, oh, super cool. So I reached out, I think it was through LinkedIn, and basically got connected with him, met with him. And then from there, basically I worked for him, and basically worked for him in the sense of he kind of taught me a lot of the off-market lead generation. So I was doing a lot of email marketing for him, a lot of consolidation of data for him, and then also a lot of newsletters. So really good first experience, learning a lot from there, which really helps our business today, what we're doing now. But yeah.
No, I think real quick, I'm going to jump in. Quick key takeaway there is if you are in college, leveraging your entrepreneurship club or program if you have one, right? Because they have a lot of connections with alumni. So I think leveraging that is a key point. Real quick, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah, no, all good. But I 100% agree. Because it just basically just surrounded myself people, similar like-minded people, and was able to make something out of it. But yeah, basically learned from him. I think I did it up to like junior year, but I guess sophomore year though, Axel mentioned you should just go to a lot of meetups, meet a lot of people in the industry. And sophomore year of college, I met this other guy. His name's Shane, and he's a big multifamily guy. But he was buying like 100+ units across the nation, which was like a whole different animal. And I guess preface it, Axel was buying 2 units to like 50 units in our local market in New Hampshire. So it was totally kind of 2 different beasts, but it was cool to see both sides of the coin. And it's cool because I connected Shane and Axel at some point, so that's kind of cool too. But yeah, so with Shane, I really learned all the underwriting when it comes to the bigger multis. So that was super beneficial for what we're doing today, just being able to run the numbers. But it's kind of different beast though when it's like 100 units or more. But yeah, ended up helping him acquire a 552 unit property. I think he bought it for like $77 million, which was pretty insane at the time. Just me being like 20, I didn't even know like you could buy property with that much money. I don't know, it was kind of blew my mind. But yeah, basically he taught me that, kind of really saw the process for that. And then I'd say it was like junior fall, I met you. And then yes, basically for how me and Jake got connected, it was me, Jake, and another buddy. We're pretty big in the stocks. So we were like during like COVID, a lot of stock stuff happened, but we basically had like a Jake, what was it called? It was like a money mastermind. I don't know. I forgot what our group was called. What do we call ourselves?
Yeah, I was like, no, I think it was called Mastermind. We did that for like
Mastermind.
four times. The thing died real quick, but it was good. Yeah, I guess it was end of junior year, right? Because it was 2021, or it was end of 2021 for junior year. But yeah, we had a mastermind nonetheless.
Yeah. So basically, with that, met you. Well, we met each other before, but like doing similar stuff. You know, I was always kind of bring to the group real estate related stuff, and I think that's what got you kind of interested in it. And then I think it was just like junior, like winter. It was like around January. I just basically told Jake all about it. It's like, hey, like, want to like partner up and make this thing happen, kind of with the mindset of like 1+1=3, and taught Jake a lot of stuff. Learned a lot for first time managing that kind of somebody. So learned a lot during that process. But basically try to teach Jake everything I knew, and then kind of like long story short, Jake got really good at the whole single family wholesaling side, and then I just kind of stuck with the multis. We kind of have a interesting setup now where we both really, I guess, do responsibilities tailored towards our strengths and try to reach our vision and goals as well. But yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything on that, Jake, if that's kind of accurate to the story.
Yeah, no, it's good. Similar. Yeah, so I know what I want to do. I was like accounting, finance, because I played hockey my whole life, right? So after that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. It was kind of freshman year of college, didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh, I want to make money, so I'm going to invest in stocks. I started reading stock books and doing that whole deal. But then I'm like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm going to invest and then finally make money when I'm 70. I was like, that doesn't really like add up. Like, I'm trying to be wealthy in the next 10 years. Like, just investing $1,000 a year in stocks is not going to get it done for me. So then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that kind of opened my mind, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad either clicks or doesn't click. So it clicked for me. That was because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in the spring of 2021. So like I met you in November, or not met you, but we started in November. It was like May before that summer that I read it, and it started to click. So I think I must have been asking you a bunch of questions about it or something. And then you're like, oh, do you want to learn? But it's funny because when I started, it was more like I was an intern. Like I didn't know anything. Like someone would respond on email, and I'd have to like email Isaiah to ask what to respond. I didn't even know what to respond. And it's funny, like someone would respond and say like, yeah, I'm interested in selling. And I thought it was like a deal, like every time. Like I didn't know that was like 5% of the way to getting a deal, which is funny. I'd be like, because Isaiah was saying like, yeah, we can get a referral fee, like 1% would make like $7,000. I was like, $7,000? Like, no way. Like that's so much freaking money. So I was just like fired up for that. But no, it's definitely a lot of work. But yeah, so then it was just like learn under Isaiah. And then I started cold calling that summer of 2022, like 6 months in. And that's when I kind of started the whole single family side. We found out about wholesaling. Like this business is phenomenal. Be a good way to get capital. So now we're kind of ironing out today of like responsibilities and figuring out what we're going to do. But I think one of the key points of switching from, right, the story of how do we go from college kids to full-time in the real estate investment business, I think it's been consistency for like a long period of time. So starting cold calling, going into senior year, right? And we were consistently, Isaiah's emailing, I'm cold calling, right, all the way throughout senior year, right? So the whole time we're building, and just being consistent with it, because we didn't get our first wholesale deal until it took us 3 months of cold calling to get our first wholesale deal. So 90 days of calling for 3-4 hours a day, 90 straight days, 3-4 hours a day of calling, no results, no money, right? So that consistency, and then it slowly build. And then we kind of got distracted going off on 2 different routes. We were doing a little bit with Compass because it was a shiny object, and it was a good opportunity, but in the end, we needed to pick one, right? It's either realtor route, just could make a lot of money, or it's the investing side. And we were kind of given the ultimatum. It was like, well, investing was kind of the goal from the beginning, so we have to go that way. So then we kind of went full time. We got a few deals luckily at kind of a fortunate time that put some money in our pockets that allowed us to be okay for a number of months, and we've kind of just taken it from there. So since then, we've been able to, because of those few big deals, we've been able to just put all of our time and effort into going full time. So I think ultimately the formula is meet people in school, right? If you're in college, go to meetups, meet like-minded people, get a mentor that's going to fast track you the quickest, right? Don't make the mistakes and waste the money. You should just go find a mentor, make a little bit less money now, and then fast track your route, right? And then just be consistent with it for a long period of time. Hopefully if you are consistent, you will get some deals and get some money. And once you're in a position where you feel like you want to go full time, that's when you make the leap. But it's essentially the formula. So I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was mute. I couldn't add myself in there. I have a lot of power right now with this mute.
You can't unmute it.
I don't know. Anyways, we'll figure it out after. But yeah, with the whole the realtor route, yeah, we were in the kind of the same boat because initially I wanted to learn like everything about real estate, so I wanted to do the realtor route, and I did. We did it for like 6 months, but then I was just like, it wasn't really for me personally. You can make a lot of money in it, like a ton of people do. But given like I saw both sides of the coin in the sense that investing side, I saw it's money with that. I see what these other guys are doing and they're killing it. And I saw people doing really well with realtor, being a realtor. And I was just like, okay, and like kind of my lifestyle, what I want to do, went the investing side. So I made the leap. Jake made the leap as well because it seems like we're in a similar situation with that. And then I guess talking about, I don't know, Jake, I don't know if you want to talk about what we're doing today, what it looks like today. Basically now, this you'll learn going into real estate. There's so many shiny objects. Me and Jake always kind of fall in fault in that, but kind of refocusing. So our plan is so I'm focused on multifamily side. Jake does a single family side, and we're kind of ironing this out today, which is kind of funny. But basically, the idea is acquisitions for multis because the multifamily is where we see the wealth is, buy and hold those types of properties. And then with the single family side, kind of do a lot more wholesaling flips of where the capital comes in. And the idea, very high level idea, is the single family side, basically create a machine where it's like a wholesaling business with single families, and that would fund the multifamily side. And just another, what other people do as well is rather than doing single families wholesaling, people do do the capital side by being a realtor. So you could do it that way. We just found it for ourselves, like being pretty entrepreneurial. We just wanted to kind of create the business of, and there's a lot of competition too. There's a lot of reasons why we weren't the best fit for being a realtor. But I'm still licensed, but doing that as a full-time thing to get the capital to fund the other side. Yeah, there's just a lot of reasons, but I don't know if you want to dive into that more.
Yeah, I agree with the capital side because you need I feel like a misconception too is with the whole you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, passive income and the cash flow from the multifamilies, but it's like you don't necessarily want to take that cash flow because you want, at least for the first year, obviously you want to put that in an account for any capital expenditures, like roof goes out, anything like that, right? You want to have a war chest for anything that goes wrong. But even if we could just have a cash machine like wholesaling and flipping and stuff like that on the side, that's our active income. Then all of our cash flow, we could essentially just reinvest in the multifamilies and just scale the portfolio even faster versus trying to live off that passive cash flow. Even though it is, I think, our goal to live off the passive cash flow at a certain point. But I think starting out, we get to that point where we could live off of it quicker if we just didn't take the cash flow. We just reinvested it. But it would be hard to do that if we didn't have any active income. So that's kind of where it's like the cash flow machine of wholesaling and flipping, which can be easily automated. And we can work our way out to being like one of my buddies right now is like, he's like 2 hours a day in the business. He's about to be completely scaled out of it. So it's just literally a cash machine for him. And he's going to focus on more other stuff like multifamilies. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it. 15 at 5. We're keeping it tight, but yeah, you can unmute yourself, can't you?
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, I guess one last thing I wanted to add was initial idea was, and people become very successful as well just having a W-2 job. They make money on that. That's their capital side, and then also invest in real estate, and then that kind of offsets and they kind of become financially free. But my mindset was to fast track that of my day job being like us doing wholesaling on the single family side and also being multis. They kind of overlap. So just to kind of really skyrocket the success of it because we're learning all day rather than I'm half and half, but just a quick idea I want to throw out there.
Yeah, just being consumed by like real estate, being in it all the time, so you learn more and ideally be able to make more happen. And there is overlap, so it's the age-old battle of like there is overlap, but you want to focus on the one thing, right? Building one bridge is going to get you there the fastest versus trying to build multiple bridges, but it's a whole other thing. And the whole thing with the W-2 is like there are some advantages in that as well, though, because then you can qualify for loans easier when you're trying to buy properties and stuff. So that's not a bad route at all either. It really just depends on the season you are at in your life, right? Like we're two young single guys. Like it's easy for us to go do this and like work all the time. But someone who's in their 30s or 40s, maybe has a family or kids, it's probably better for them just to stay in their W-2 and build it out that way. So it really just depends on your situation, your season. But appreciate you watching. I couldn't get the Facebook stream to work. I upgraded my StreamYard account, so it was supposed to be streaming on Facebook, but I couldn't get it to work. So I'll get it to work for next week, and we'll be live on Facebook. So you can catch us on Facebook as well and Twitter. But I hope everyone has a great week.
Cool.